Good morning, everybody. This is COOLA from Rawstocks. We have another edition of the pre-market prep this morning, and it is a potential doozy. A potential doozy here. So, could we reach some historic levels today? Is this something where we're going to drop towards 6,200? Today's the day. Today's the pivot day, in my opinion. We're going to find out. We're going to find out if today's real or if I'm just reading this wrong. So, quick shout out to our sponsors, Black Box Stocks and Gamma Edge. Thanks to those guys. Without those guys, would not be able to provide this to you guys every single day for free. So, shout out to those guys for that. Make sure you show a little love to them. Use the links in our bios. Go try out the free trials. See what you think about the data, and trade like us. So, all right, moving into it. So today, we have a pretty nice day. Like I said, yesterday we had a little bit of a pullback. We talked about a little bit of a pullback down here, and we got to close actually under the daily 4 and under the daily 20. So is it going to get continuation to the downside, or is this thing about to explode to the upside, right? Let's dive into the data real quick and see what it says. Oh, before we get going today, as far as data today, really nothing. Some crude oil, there's been some fluctuation there, but nothing big, nothing you need to worry about today. 10-year auction note at 1 o'clock. So keep an eye on that. All right. One sec.
Order filled.
Let's see if this wants to keep on running in the pre-market. Let's see if it wants to keep on running. Ooh. Sorry, I wasn't prepared to do this morning, but I'm doing it. All right. Looking at today's data. Where is it? Let's pull this over real quick. SPX today, pretty solid. Full complex here. We're call dominated gamma conditions. So, and it's about neutral, right? But you start looking at it, you start seeing some overhead shorts starting to come into play, some larger ones at that 6,400 level, starting to see some at that 6,340 level, starting to come into play. And then you really have some exposure to the downside under 6,315. There's a split here at 6,320. So you got to watch that in the full complex. You really get over 6,320, I really think we could start seeing some speed to the upside today. Today's data shows a ton of overhead pressure here for downside. Your split here between 63.25. So there's a short at 63.25. You need to be watching, but the transitional area is at 63.15. Okay, so virtually we start flipping towards bullish at 63.15, and let's flip over here. Let's go to SPX. And I've already kind of went over this, okay? So 63.15, we start to see that. You need to know that there's a short right over the head of yesterday's little high right here at that 63.25. But if you press over the top of 63.25, I think there's a good chance we make that towards the top of our range here at 63.50. But it wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, there's gamma support here at 63.15 that starts to flip, but there is a short right above this high here. Okay. So know that. Let's spread this out to today. There is a short right above this that you need to be cautious of. Let's go red. But once we get over the top of that, we'll see if this thing wants to, if it really gets over the top of that, we'll really see if it wants to fly towards 63.50. And I think it could absolutely fly if it did get over the top of that. This would be some level of potential squeeze. Like I said, full complex, once we get over the 63.20, really start to jet towards that 63.50 and even potentially 6,400. on that level. So watch for that squeeze to here. If it's really cooking, I wouldn't be surprised to see it get the gamma squeeze to the upside. So I have the gamma squeeze on the low side and the gamma squeeze to the upside at 6,400. Let's see, gamma squeeze. So I guess the text is white on that or black on that. Let's see. Yep. So gamma squeeze potential on the outside of this range. Like I said, I think it's pivot day. I don't think it's a containment day. I think we're going to find ourselves squeezing one way or the other. I lean bearish because of the data. But if we get over the top of 63.15 and mount it, which I think we're starting to in the market pre-market, we're starting to get over. Yeah, starting to get over it. And we'll see if it wants to hold it and make a run towards say 63.25, and then we'll see if what happens. But leaning bearish underneath 63.15. So watch the open here. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, we're right above. So this is different data here, but we're right above that. Keeping an eye on this. Let's look at confluence here on SPY. Let's double up. 811. Okay, come on. We got to get cooking. Full complex here is put dominated. Okay. This is again flipped here at 627. Okay. So virtually you're seeing 6290 area, right? 6290 area. As a flip here. So that's right over that 6,300. So a little bit of a split decision here. Not so much put dominated on the full complex here. Or excuse me, put dominated on the full complex here. But that's dragging us down a little bit towards that 6,200 level. Let's see what it looks like on the 0 day. So you can see 627. You have that transitional area. And we'll see if this thing wants to pop up. And you can see that it has a full type of level of calls all the way up towards that 6,400 level that we talked about on the gamma squeeze. Couple shorts in here that you need to be worried about. But realistically, this is favoring the upside in regards to 0 day. So you need to be very cautious in regards to the the areas that we're talking about. Okay, watch those pivot points today, as they are very important for the upside today and but downside, right? So we got to watch those. Like I said, favoring a little bit of the upside today. We'll see if we'll see if this thing wants to continue running. And yeah, that's it on that. Okay, moving forward on Tesla. Whoops. Tesla has a beautiful spot if it stays where it's at. Okay, we're call dominated on the full complex here. 300 still remains to be. Looks like people are just selling calls there, right? Selling cash secured puts there, and we're seeing support kind of flip down towards that 307.5 level now. So that was a bearish flip for us. Now we're seeing a little bit of a call area, and we're seeing a potential move up towards that 315 zone today. Looking at the 0 day data, it confirms 307.5 bullish pivot point for us to rise towards 315. We're call dominated here. I think calls are going to light up on Tesla at if we open at 307.5. That's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to light up, and I think we're going to have a good chance of running up towards 315, potentially 320 today. And like I said, it all depends on how this market goes, right? If this thing just wants to keep running today, then we're gonna find ourselves squeezing potentially all the way up to towards that 640 zone. Like I said, 6400, excuse me, 638 on SPY, 6400 on SPX. Okay, so I know the range here stands to say differently on SPY, but this thing, like I said, we have a opportunity to really get squeezing today. So taking a look at Tesla's chart here. Sorry, I'm just rambling today. 307.5 positive gamma support. So as we open right here, I really think people are going to just be lined up here to go long. They're going to be looking to hold 305 as it becomes a pivot point, and they're looking to make this thing run up. They're looking to make this thing run up, and it's a pretty decent 3-to-1 RVR here to run up towards 315. Okay. We are with a potential to run up to 320. It's just one of those days where we could absolutely see this thing start running. But if we get to 315, we see a big sell. Look out for a potential drop back towards 308. And if that is the case, right? If that is the case where we see one of these deals where it runs up to 315, we see a sell down, watch for that potential bearish pennant type of look, and we see some type of move down towards positive support, negative shelf, and where we could fall towards 300. Okay, this could be one last push, one last hurrah before we fall, or this could be the real deal where we start squeezing to all-time highs. Okay. I think it's good to note that I'll probably be getting in calls on Tesla right off the rip and seeing if we could play this. All right, financial advice for you guys, but just letting you know my game plan. Now Nvidia is interesting. Okay, let me pull up this real quick. So 180 wall here is huge, which this wasn't like this, but this 180 wall is absolutely huge on Nvidia. Starting to see a rise in the 185, 182. So this whole area has been kind of it's just been a really nice bullish move, but 180 wasn't the wall, 185 was. And yesterday we really created a 185 wall. So let me pull this up real quick. Sorry, I've got so many screens open I can't flip, throwing me off today. 185 to 175 is what we're looking at on the downside. 175 to 1. This is no longer 185. Okay. And we're looking at the gamma wall down here. We're looking at the transitional at 175, 175. There you go. Now, it has the wall here at 175, but if we slip 175, I think we can get to 170. So I'm going to leave this here and say this is going to be the downside for us at 170, but I'm going to leave the range here because I believe the shelf right here is going to be the low side, 175. Now, if we break through 175, you probably got a damn good shot at this thing trying to run up towards you got a really good shot at this thing running up towards sorry, if you break 175, you got a good shot at this thing running down to 170. Sorry guys, I need my caffeine this morning. And that's it on Nvidia. Okay, that's it on Nvidia. I just think it's really interesting to see the big wall start to come in on Nvidia here, but the full complex is really good bullish move up towards potentially 190. But that's all to say that we hold and break through some of these levels. Okay. If we lose some of these levels, then that's something that you need to be cognizant of and and say, all right, hey, this isn't what we signed up for here. We're not looking as bullish as we thought, and we might see some type of rug pull today. Okay. I think there's two different scenarios here, especially on SPX. Okay. Where we're seeing that, that growth in calls here, but at the same time, that frees up some of that exposure to the downside. And when you start seeing that the slides like this here, realistically, the downside for us today on SPX would be 62.50. I think that's the low we would go today. Kind of a potential breakdown target, and we start to break down, that would be where I would be looking. But the big seven kind of look in areas where they can break out, especially Tesla. And right now, currently pre-market, the S&P looks like it can potentially hold a bullish spot and look to just kind of jet up. So it'd be interesting to see kind of how this unravels today. But I do think this is a pivot day. We're either going to make it or break it today. So watch for a potential push towards 6,400 today, right? All the way up here. Or you can see us break back down towards the gap here. Not saying if we break towards the gap here and we don't and potentially recover towards that 6,300 level, if we see that, I imagine we'll see continuation in 6,400 throughout the rest of the week. All right. All right. Hopefully that was insightful for you guys. If not, that was a rough episode today for me. All right. I'll just be honest with you. I needed some caffeine this morning. Didn't have great sleep. So if you guys are interested in what we do, come check us out at rawstocksllc.com. Come join us in our Discord. We do this for free for people that come and join in. I've got a couple people that don't subscribe, but do, and come check out the pre-market prep every morning. We allow them to come in with the live. If you missed the live, I'm sorry. But anyways, make sure you guys are following and subscribing. Come take a look. We got a 7-day promo right now, $1 a day for $7 for the week. So check it out. It's wap.com/rawstocks for the direct. Our website is rawstocksllc.com. All right, guys. Thank you. We'll talk to you later. Until tomorrow. Catch you later.